Yeah, I hope you can see my screen.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, okay. So today's webinar is all about how you can transition to machine learning from any field. We are going to also talk about how to write your first ML research paper, and then we are going to talk a little bit about how we can help you transition to this field. And we are also going to be making an announcement at the end of this webinar, so stay tuned. And if during the webinar you have any questions, please keep posting them in chat and we'll do our best to answer them. Okay. We'll also be posting a recording of this webinar on our YouTube channel. So during the time of the webinar, if you feel that probably you're not catching up or you missed a slide or two, you don't need to worry. You can always look it up on our YouTube channel. Okay. So let's begin. If you are attending first webinar from Videsh, I would like to give you an overview about what Videsh does and what is our mission, etc. So Videsh was co-founded by three co-founders, Dr. Raj, Dr. Rajat, and Dr. Sridhar, who are award-winning scientists and researchers from IIT Madras, MIT, and Purdue University in the US. Okay. So when they were pursuing their PhDs in the US, they realized that research is highly underrated. Okay. Research does not have the kind of value that it is supposed to have in our education system. And that is why, Videsh was actually founded to help students reach their dream universities through the medium of research. Okay. So research is a very big component of Videsh, and our dream is to empower students with considerable experience in research that can help them reach their dream universities. So with that aim, all three of them returned to India and founded Videsh. And we've since 2022 we have helped a lot of students get their dream universities and even transition to fields like machine learning and artificial intelligence. So today's webinar is going to be all about, I'm going to give you a live example of Dr. Raj, one of our co-founders. So I'm going to be taking you through his story and how he successfully transitioned to the field of machine learning way back. Probably this was around 5-6 years back. So he made a transition and it was not a conscious transition. I'll take you through it. I'm going to be talking about what some of the problems are with traditional machine learning courses, and then I'm going to be talking about why writing a research paper in the field of machine learning is so important. I'm also going to be talking about some common myths that students have about writing research papers. That papers are only required for people applying to graduate schools, but that's a myth, and I'll be talking about it. And then I'll be talking about writing research papers from scratch, how you can convert your existing projects to papers, to research papers, and how you can publish first author research papers from your projects. And then I'm going to be talking about the scientific machine learning bootcamp at the end. So let's dive into this webinar and let's get started with our co-founder story. Okay. So Dr. Raj is a BTech graduate from IIT Madras in mechanical engineering. Okay. So he graduated with a BTech in 2017, and that is when he decided that he wanted to pursue a master's and PhD at some of the top universities in the US. And at that time he applied to all these universities in the field of mechanical engineering. Okay. So at that time he had no idea what machine learning was, or if he wanted to do it, if he was interested in doing it. He had very religiously and very straightforwardly applied to a PhD in mechanical engineering. He got an admit, a fully funded admit from MIT in mechanical engineering, and then he went there. Subsequently, in his first or second year, he recalls attending a career fair where there were a lot of companies, a lot of top organizations that had come to MIT with multiple job opportunities. And being a second year student, he had not gone there for applying to jobs, but he just went there to get a feel of how career fairs work. Okay, so he was moving around the career fair, and then he suddenly realized that the jobs available in the core fields are comparatively less than the jobs available in this new and upcoming field of machine learning. Okay, so at that time he was completely new to this entire field of machine learning. He did not know what it was. And then after looking at the current industry scenario and how it applies to his studies, he slowly started losing interest in the mechanical engineering field. And then that is how he stumbled upon a research group in MIT itself that was working on machine learning. Then it was completely by accident. He happened to meet one of the professors during one of the conferences he was attending, and that is how his professor asked him to take some basic courses in machine learning, and then the rest is history. Okay, he switched his field to machine learning, and today he holds a PhD from MIT in the field of machine learning. And when he switched, basically that was in 2019, so probably 6 years back. And that at that time machine learning was a completely new field, a very emerging field. Not many people had access to this particular field, and not many people knew what machine learning was exactly. So it was a very interesting field at that time. And Dr. Raj switched to this field, and then the rest is history. He published a lot of papers with many citations. He published many first author papers. He worked for the US government as well. So these are some of the snapshots of the papers that he published. So this paper particularly was written to assess the effect of quarantine control in COVID-19. So in 2020 there was COVID outbreak, and he had recently switched. So this made very big impact. His paper made a very good impact, and this paper got a lot of citations. He even worked for the US government. So this was one of the reports that he submitted to the US government. And then the thing that I want to specify is that he did not have a formal background in CS. Okay, he did not take any data structure or algorithm courses. He was not in undergrad he did not take any CS courses. And then he was a core mechanical engineer. So what I want to say is anybody with a field that is not related to CS can transition to the field of machine learning. Okay, so these are again some of the snapshots of the papers that he published, and subsequently he landed a lot of good job opportunities from few of the top organizations like Facebook, Amazon, and Julia Computing. So like I said, it was a very emerging field at that point, and these companies were looking for people who had a good experience in machine learning and who had done a considerable amount of research in that particular field. So his realization was that the way traditional machine learning is taught is not correct for engineers. And there are a lot of courses available out there where, a lot of things are being taught in a very theoretical way. A lot of projects are being explained. I'll take you in detail of why and how there is a problem with these particular courses. And then the second realization was that students from any field can transition to the field of machine learning. Okay, so this was a second realization. And the third realization is there should be a lot of more emphasis on machine learning research. Okay, so there is this common myth that research is only for people applying for graduate schools. It is only to accentuate their research profile that will in turn get them a very good admit. But this is a very wrong misconception that people have, because nowadays in the field of machine learning, recruiters are also looking for people with hands-on experience in this field, okay? And they're not just looking for people who have added random courses to their resume, who have added random projects to their resume. They're actually looking for people who have hands-on experience, and there is no better way to get this experience other than research. Research is the best way you can get a hands-on experience in the field of machine learning, and that is how you can confidently talk to the interviewer about what your findings are, what you've worked upon, because the paper that you will produce in machine learning will be very closely related with your domain. Okay, I'll explain that in my later slides. But this is a very big misconception, and it's not at all like that. Even if you are looking for job interviews in machine learning, and if you are looking for those particular job profiles that are related to ML, like an ML engineer, ML researcher, etc., so these type of profiles also, recruiters are looking for people with hands-on experience. And if you have a first author research paper in machine learning, then you will be a very good candidate for such positions. So you should be very strongly focused on research if you want to transition to this field of machine learning. And then now we are diving into the problems with traditional machine learning courses for engineers. Okay, so this particular the screenshot that you can see here is the machine learning course available for free on the MIT website. And this is available for free. Even you can access it. We'll be posting a link of it in the description of our YouTube recording, so you can access this. And till the week 1, week 2, it's completely fine. They're talking about linear algebra, probability, then they are introducing you to machine learning, etc. The real problem starts with the projects. Okay, so the first project is the automatic review analyzer, the second project is the digit recognition, the third project is collaborative filtering and a text-based game, and so on. So do you realize the problem with these type of projects? Okay, none of you have these projects are not related to either of your domains, right? I mean, may you be from a computer science background or from any other background, these projects are just random toy projects and they don't make any sense. So there is no way a recruiter or even a graduate admissions committee is going to be impressed with these projects. If you put them as project 1, project 2, project 3 in your profile, there is no way you are going to cast a positive impression on the admissions committee. Okay, so this is the problem with the traditional machine learning courses, that they do not relate to your domain at all, right? So these are the projects. Like automatic review analyzer is related to the reviews, the movie reviews. Okay, so that is not related at all to any of your domains, right? And these projects don't show how to combine machine learning with your domain specific knowledge. Now I understand that all of you must have different domains, right? It is very important to keep your base domain and then add experience of ML to your domain, right? You're not completely trying to refrain from your domain. Okay, and the best way to gain an experience in machine learning is to combine your domain knowledge with machine learning. That is the best way to move forward in this field. And publishing research papers using these toy projects is absolutely impossible. Okay, because these are toy projects and these projects don't have the capacity to be converted into a research paper. We need serious projects, we need impactful projects, okay, that makes sense. And they are not just any frivolous projects that you pick up from any course and you add it to your resume. Okay, and the most important point is you shouldn't deviate from your main domain. Okay, so whatever your main domain is, you should be able to transition to the field of machine learning very smoothly by not leaving your domain. Okay. This is very, very important. I am now going to show you a few examples of projects or research papers written, combining a person's specific domain with machine learning. So, for example, a paper or a project titled "How to Use Machine Learning to Model COVID-19 Infections in All Regions of the World." So, this is a very highly impactful project, and this is meant for people with having core domain, who have engineering core domain, or who are scientists or data analyst. And then how to recover a chemical reaction equation from data alone. So this is meant for people, chemical engineers, most probably. And we have project titles like using machine learning to predict black hole dynamics. So again, these are for engineers, scientists, physicists, etc. And then another example of such paper would be using ML to predict economic market forces like supply and demand. So this would be perfect for people in economics, economists basically. And then using ML for biochemistry, etc., using ML to analyze fluid mechanics, climate problems. So basically, these are just example of all the projects you can combine with your core domain and produce a research paper at the intersection of your core domain and machine learning. Okay. So what will happen if you do research or you write a research paper in that is at the intersection of your domain and machine learning? So this will help you to lay a very strong foundation in the field of machine learning. It will help you to gain a lot of confidence, okay, in the field of machine learning. Okay. And then you can also do independent research in your field of study and publish papers in top journals, right? You can include all of these projects in your CV. You can even add the research paper experience to your CV, and not just for people applying to graduate schools, but people who are looking for job opportunities also will benefit from this a lot. Okay. So it will be a very smooth transition from your core domain to the field of machine learning. Okay. And then if you learn to do these projects on your own, like if you do independent research project on your own, like I said, it will be very, very beneficial for you to upgrade your profile by 4 to 5 times. And that literally happens, trust me, when students who have published research papers go to interviews or they apply for graduate schools, their profile usually looks much better, because we can build a very good story around it, right? When you are writing your statement of purpose, you can actually mention a very passionate and emotional story about why you wanted to transition to the field of machine learning and how you did it. Okay. So it's not just emotions that matter, your actions also should match your vision. Okay. So we can create a very good story in your statement of purpose for people applying to graduate schools, for people applying to job opportunities in this field. When the interviewer asks you about why you wanted to switch or why you wanted to transition, you can very well explain a very good story around it. So that is why it is very important to do an independent research in the field of machine learning. Okay. And these are some of the fields that we are working with a lot of students from these particular fields, all fields basically, not just limited to engineering, but then people with all fields can transition to machine learning. It's not only limited to engineering field. It's applicable to people in finance, economics, psychology, biology. It is you can, may it be in any field, you can still transition to the field of machine learning very, very smoothly. Okay. And then some list of resources that will help you to transition into machine learning. We have a machine learning playlist by that is curated specifically by our co-founders, Dr. Raj, Dr. Rajat, and Dr. Sridhar. And this playlist is available on YouTube for free. Okay. So we'll be sharing the links to this playlist in the recording of our YouTube channel. You can get started with the first series, that is teach by doing. So this is a very informative series, and it completely teaches you how to start learning machine learning. So that is where Dr. Raj starts from, and then you dive into basics, and then a little bit deeper into mathematics and such. Okay. So this is how you can transition slowly to the field of machine learning, by first understanding the theory part and then moving on to the project and research part. Okay. So we now move towards the second part of our webinar, that is the paper outline. Okay. So this part, basically in this part I will be specifying how you can write a research paper in the field of machine learning. I will break down the research paper into a number of topics and subtopics and different sections, and I'll be talking in detail about each section. Okay. So a research paper basically consists of these 12 elements, out of which the title, abstract, introduction, tables, and figures constitute the paper outline. Okay, so these 5 factors constitute the most important part of your research paper, and they are called as the paper outline, and they form the skeleton of your research paper. The rest of the parts are very important, but then your research paper is incomplete without the paper outline. So first of all, I will dive deep into how and what are the parts of paper outline and how you can go about it. Okay. So it sometimes happens that people are very reluctant when they are starting with the research journey, and they're very skeptical about themselves of whether or not they'll be able to finish a research paper, and whether or not they'll be able to get novel results and get papers published. So they have a lot of doubts in their mind. But then what we have learned from our experience over 3-4 years is that the most important thing to write a research paper is to follow the process. Okay, if you are very sincere, if you are persistent, and if you follow the process that we are telling you, then you can publish a very good paper. Okay, it's very important for you to be proactive and patient. Okay, it's not, you cannot lose confidence, and you cannot be like, I'm stuck now, how do I proceed? So that's not how it works. And it's a very patient process. Writing a research paper is a very patient process, and that is why, for ease of your understanding, I have broken this process into different parts. Okay, now I also want to talk here about the projects. So right now I was talking about completely new research. Okay, so right from picking a topic for your research paper to writing the paper outline. But if you already have a project in your domain, and we see the potential for it to be convert it into a research paper, then that will also work wonders in building a very good story in your statement of purpose. Okay, so we can actually pick up a project that you did probably in your undergrad. We can pick it up, and then we can explore a little bit around it of what open topics we can find around that project, and then we can take it forward and convert it into a research paper. So that is also possible. There are different ways and means to work around a research paper. It doesn't have to be a completely new topic, or a complete or an existing topic. You can work around a lot of ways and means. It's just that you need to have the will to write a research paper. Okay, you need to be wanting to write a research paper very badly, and that is you can always find a way how to do that, right? Now I'm going to be talking a little bit about templates that you choose. We have the Overleaf template that is available. Overleaf is a software that converts your text into LaTeX format, and it makes your papers look very professional, very beautiful. And so you don't have to look at the font, you don't have to adjust the font, you just have to enter text, and Overleaf immediately automatically converts it into the correct font. Okay, so that your paper looks very professional. Or otherwise, if you don't want to use Overleaf, you can use the MS Word template. Okay, that is also a possibility. Okay, now we are going to be talking about the title and abstract. These are the very important parts of a paper outline, and this is where your research paper starts. Okay, so the title is a 12 to 15 word title, and it should actually give you a complete insight into your research paper. Now if it is some project that you are converting to a research paper, you already know what it is about, and it is very easy for you to pick a title. Okay, if not, if you are starting from scratch, then also you can just write a draft title, and then we can change it later on. Fine. Then we move on to the abstract. The abstract is a 200 to 300 word essay that you are writing, and it completely gives a very detailed insight into what your paper is about, but at the same time it has to be very brief and composed. Now we understand that students might get lost in writing this 200-300 word essay, a paragraph, like as you can see in the example. So it happens that students get lost in writing this essay, and that is why for you we have broken down this abstract into 4 different parts. Okay, so This is the example of the title, and this is these are the four parts of the abstract. Okay, so the first part will focus on the large scale problems, and it will be applicable to a much wider audience. Okay, so you have to write what is a large scale problem, and first of all, first and foremost thing that is chances that you might miss a few points here and there. So the first part is large scale problem, and it implies to a wider audience. The second part is the specific challenge. So what specific challenge is faced, you have to describe that, write it as a point, and this is basically applicable to a much specific audience, basically the experts of that particular field. Okay, the third point will be specific merits and details of your approach. Again, this implies to a much specific and expert audience. And then the fourth part will be wider implications, and this will again be applicable for a much larger audience. Okay, so for ease of your understanding, we call this the hourglass approach, where the first and the fourth parts are applicable for a wider audience, and the second and third part are applicable for an expert and a much shorter audience. Okay, so 200 words is acceptable, 150 words is ideal. Try not to go beyond 200 words, but then right now we are not talking about words, we are only talking about the pointers that you need to write. Okay, so we have 4 pointers right now in our abstract. Okay, so now we move on to the third part of the paper outline, that is the introduction section. Again, the most important part of the paper outline, and this is where you mention the novelty of your research work. Okay, this is where you mention what results you have achieved, what you mean to write. Okay, so for your ease of understanding, the introduction, which is supposed to be 1,000 to 1,000 word essay, we've broken this down again to 5 parts. And again, when I talk about introduction, again, I will ask all of you to write a bullet pointed introduction. Okay, so right now at this point, we are not talking about essays, we are not talking about the length of the introduction or the abstract. Okay, so these are the 5 parts in which we have broken down the introduction. The first is, what is the problem? So which problem are you addressing? So write point 1 as which problem are you addressing, mention the problem in bullet pointed form. How are people trying to solve this? This is the second part. Okay, and this is where a lot of literature study will come into play, and this is exactly where you will mention your references also in this bullet pointed introduction. Okay, so this is basically the point where you mention all the literature study and all the references that you want to mention in your research paper. How are people trying to solve this, and what are the issues with the current approaches? So these points 2 and 3 will basically get you towards the literature study, and that is where you're also supposed to write down references in the introduction section. Again, it has to be in the bullet pointed form. Okay, and the fourth point will be, what do you propose? So what is your proposal? What do you think about it? And basically here is the point where the novelty of your research comes into play, and this is where you have to write what you propose. And fifth point will be large scale implications of your solution. Okay, so point 4 and point 5 will heavily direct towards the novelty of your research. Again, it is extremely important that you don't forget to mention why your results and why your research paper is novel. Okay, so many students they get so caught up in writing the introduction section and writing these points that they forget to mention the novelty in their research paper. This is very, very important. Okay, we then move towards the fourth part of the paper outline, that is the figures. Okay, so figures are basically a visual representation of the text, and they are the backbone of papers. Okay, they are basically, when a reviewer is looking at your paper, the first thing they notice is figures, because we're humans, and visual any kind of visual is more catches our eye quicker than the text. Okay, so that is a human tendency, and that is why it is very important for all of you to have accurate figures. Okay, figures should be related to one another. Every figure that you are inserting, every figure that you are creating in your paper has to be related to one another. I am also going to be talking about a few factors that you need to remember when you are creating figures. Okay, so the first point is high resolution. You need to have high resolution figures so that zoom in, zoom out does not have any effect on the resolution. Okay, you need to have legible access text and labels. There needs to be a consistent choice of colors, font family, and font size. And then every figure should have a title, a description, a figure name also. Okay, and then size and colors of markers is also extremely important. So these may seem like trivial things and very easy things, but students tend end up making mistakes, and that is something that does not cast a good impression on the reviewer. Okay, so it's very important to remember all these points when you are creating a figure. Now you can create figures either in Canva, AI, or traditional methods like Excel and PPT. It's completely fine. Okay, any of this is fine. I've just given you here an example of a figure where a correct figure number, a figure title, sub figure number, and sub figure description is mentioned. So this is the example that I want to stress upon, and by this example I just want to share that your figure should be practically perfect, and it should not contain any legible mistakes. Okay, it's very important that you have perfect figures in your paper, right? You can also insert figures in overleaf. It is possible to create figures in overleaf software as well. We will now move towards the paper outline fifth part, that is the tables. Tables also are kind of a visual representation of the text, and wherever you feel that you can convert your text into a table, it is completely welcome, and we encourage students to do that. Okay, again, tables have same rules like the figures. Every table has to be labeled, it has to be described, every subtable has to be labeled, described. There has to be proper use of font size, and font colors. Okay, it's very, very important you remember these small trivial points when drawing your tables. Okay, again, you can insert tables in overleaf software as well, and it's we'll be sharing the link for overleaf also in our recording. Okay, the next part, now we are done actually with the paper outline. We are done with the 5 parts: title, abstract, introduction, tables, and figures. We are now done with forming the skeleton of our paper, and that is the most important part. If you are done with the paper outline, you're done with most of the paper, and now it just remains for you to expand these different sections into essays, and keep on adding different sections, other sections that I will be talking about, like adding references, acknowledgements, etc. So this is the next section that is pretty simple and pretty straightforward, because if you remember, in the introduction section we'd already written bullet pointed references. Okay, we just have to add those references in this separate section that we have at the fag end of the paper, right? So like I said, the bullet pointed references that you have mentioned in the introduction section, you have to write them as a full-fledged references section. Okay, and then like I said, the bullet pointed paper outline is consisting of these 5 parts, and then we move on to the acknowledgement part of the paper. Okay, so this is again a very simple section, and when you go through literature study, you will also understand how people are writing acknowledgements. You already would have done a lot of literature study, you would have read a lot of research papers related to your topic, and by that time you would know how acknowledgements are written. Okay, so this is one example of acknowledgements that I want to showcase. So it's a very simple section and can be written at the end as well. Okay, so now we are at the point where we are trying to convert the bullet pointed introduction, the bullet pointed abstract into a full essays. Make sure that the length of the abstract is not more than 200 to 20 words, and make sure that the length of your introduction is not more than 1500 or 1400 words. Okay, we then move on to the next section of the paper, that is the conclusion. Again, the conclusion is a 200-250 word essay, and you have to keep it very, very simple. You just have to mention the key takeaways in the conclusion section, and you have to quickly summarize your research paper in this section. Again, it's completely fine if you do the conclusion section at the end. It's totally fine. And this is again a very simple section and can be done at the later part as well. Now I'm going to be talking about the entire paper manuscript. Now we are in the process where we are able to write the entire paper manuscript. And before that, I just want to let you know that there is also a supplementary material section available. If you want to add supplementary materials, it's not compulsory, because this basically section is for adding any kind of references that you are not able to add in the reference section, because that was probably occupying too much space, and there are a lot of things to mention, so you weren't able to add that in the references section. You can mention those things in the supplementary section. You can mention figures, text, data, code, or anything else that you're not able to add in any other section. Okay. And then I'm going to be now talking a little bit about some of the writing mistakes, some of the grammar tense mistakes that people tend to make. Again, when I'm speaking about them, you might feel that this is very trivial. Oh, I know this. But then people tend to make mistakes, and it casts a bad impression on the reviewer. I don't want you guys making such mistakes, and that is why I'm going to be taking you through this. Okay. So first is the writing style. It is very important to maintain active voice whenever you're writing. Active voice looks something like this. We perform the imaging using SEM. So this basically gives a sense of authority to the reviewer. It gives the reviewer an impression that this particular first author was thoroughly involved in getting the results. He or she was completely involved in writing the research paper, and this is something that he has done or she has done on their own. Okay. So active voice looks something like this. The passive voice looks something like the imaging was performed using SEM. So you can feel the difference in authority. It feels like you're reporting something from far. You're not doing anything yourself, and you're reporting something that somebody else is doing. So never use passive voice in any of your sentences. Always use active voice. Okay. And then people also make mistakes in the past and present tense. As a rule of thumb, you can focus on the fact that you can use present tense for analysis and conclusions, and you can use past tense for experiments conducted. Okay. So this you can use as a common rule of thumb whenever you're confused about tenses. Okay. Now we come to the part where I'm going to talk a little bit about how you can be your own critic and how you can prevent all these mistakes from happening. So in today's world where we have things like Grammarly, it is so very important that you don't make any grammar mistakes, any vocabulary spelling mistakes. Okay. So for that, whenever you're done with the paper manuscript, I suggest you take a printout of the manuscript, sit with a highlighter in your hand, and be your own critic, and try to read each and every line once, twice. Try to find out smallest mistakes in your paper, highlight that with the highlighter. Use this old fashioned way because it's very, very effective, and be your own critic, because any grammar mistake or any spelling mistake is a complete no, and that's not going to cast a good impression on the reviewer. Okay. So now we are at the point where we are going to identify journals for submission. And there are different factors which tell you how to identify a particular journal for submission. The first factor is the impact factor. So every journal has an impact factor, and the higher the impact factor, the better the journal is, and the stricter their reviewing process is. Okay. So that is how every journal has an impact factor. And whenever we are working with our students, we are basically listing down the journals in the column 1. Column 2, we are writing the impact factor of each journal, and in column 3, we are writing the cost of publishing. Okay. So every journal, I mean, most of the journals, whenever you're submitting your papers, they come, you have to submit a fee. Whether or not your paper gets published or rejected, you still have to pay the publishing fee. But then again, at this point, I would like to also mention that conference, there are also other venues you can submit your papers to, which don't ask for submission fee, and they are the conferences. Okay, so you can also, there are a lot of conferences available in the field of machine learning, a lot of top notch conferences that you can submit your papers to, and these conferences don't have submission fee. It's just that if your paper gets accepted in one of these conferences, you will be able to you will have to, and you're asked to present wherever that conference is being held. You will have to bear the airfare tickets, the staying cost, etc., the visa cost, etc. So it's just the traveling fare for you. The conference as such does not ask for any money before submission. Okay. So, now we are coming to the point where I would want to, let you know that it is very, very important at this point that you are, starting with your journey in machine learning in a very processed way. There's no need for any kind of confusion. The process, the pathway has to be completely clear. Okay. So for that, I'm going to take you through few of the boot camps that Videsh has, and few of the things that we can help you with in your transition to machine learning journey. Okay, so we have 4 boot camps available with us, and we have been successfully conducting these boot camps. It's very, very important for you to understand that understand the difference between these boot camps. And if you still have any further questions, you can always get in touch with us if anything is not clear. Okay, so the first boot camp is the student plan, the SciML student plan, which will teach you the basics of machine learning. And so this basically has pre-recorded set of videos and homework assignments. So this is how the student plan looks like. There are assignments at the end of every module. So if you can see my screen, you can, I'm showing you the different modules that we have in the student plan, and at the end of every module there is assignments that are testing your fundamental concept knowledge. Okay, and in the student plan we also have 2 research papers that we have 2 projects that we'll be working upon, and you will be able to add these projects to your resume. Okay, so these are not just any toy projects, these are very serious research projects, and nobody else will be able to have these projects in their resume. Okay, so this is the student plan. It is a completely self-paced plan, and you can do it on your own, but in this plan you won't be getting any kind of one-to-one mentorship. Okay, and that you'll be getting in the community plan. Okay, so in the community plan, this is basically an extension of the student plan in a way that we will be able to personally guide you. Our co-founders will be guiding you through the entire journey of the community plan boot camp in a way that you can ask a lot of questions if you hit any roadblock. And we'll also be adding you to a Discord community of other participants who have enrolled for this program. So it's like a great way of interacting with your peers also, who have similar students who have enrolled for the community plan. Okay, the most popular plan is the SciML researcher plan, where in addition to the community plan, the phase 2 of this plan basically focuses on writing a research paper in your field of domain and machine learning. Okay, so this is where you can actually write a research paper and get it published in very good conferences and journals. This is the most common plan students use. And then the next the extension of the researcher plan is the SciML Bootcamp industry professional plan. This basically focuses on this is basically for people with a lot of industry experience who still want to transition to the field of machine learning. And the problem statements that we'll be selecting in this particular program will be pertaining to industry. Okay, so participants will be solving real industry problems when they are writing a research paper, so that whenever you're talking about a transition to an interviewer or graduate schools, it is about real industry impact. Okay, because that particular candidate would have had a lot of work experience, and then it just works perfectly for those candidates. Okay, so these are all the 4 boot camps that are available with us for transitioning to machine learning. Also, we have collaborated with Julia Hub, and you will be receiving a certificate from Julia Hub also at the completion of each of these boot camps. Okay, so that is an additional plus, and that is also something that you can mention in your resume, in your profile, because it's a very prestigious thing, and it will open a lot of doors for you. Okay, and specifically for students with computer science background, I would also like to specify that if you are if this machine learning boot camp is sounds kind of I would say basic for you, you can go ahead with the industry professional Gen AI industry professional plan that we have. So just a minute, I'm sharing the screen for that. So yeah, this is the industry professional plan for people in computer science background and who want to get a hands-on experience in the field of Gen AI. Okay, so this plan focuses heavily on how Gen AI and LLMs are revolutionizing industries, and you would have published a first author research paper in the field of Gen AIs and LLMs. You will build 10 to 12 hands-on research projects in this plan, and you will also pick a research topic. So this plan will also have a research paper that you will be publishing, and this basically plan is for students who want to delve into the field of generative AI. So if if you're interested to know more, or if you're interested to know which projects we have done in this particular field, you can get in touch with us on our email ID. I'll be talking about it a little bit later. So yeah, so this is about the machine learning bootcamp, and these are basically the fields from where people have transitioned to the field of machine learning. This is the course content of the plan, and this is basically the course content of the researcher plan. This point number 15, as you can see, focuses completely on how to write a research paper. Okay, these are the projects that you will do, and you will add these to your CV. No other boot camp will have such projects, and these will be completely unique for you. Okay, these are the examples of how your first ML papers will look like if you end up publishing, or if you end up at least completing and submitting the paper to journals. At this point, I would like to make you understand that it's completely fine that your paper doesn't get published, or it's under review by the time you're submitting your grad school applications. Okay, it's completely fine to mention in your statement of purpose or your resume that your paper is in preparation, or you've submitted it, but it has to be backed by a letter of recommendation. Your professor also has to say the same thing. Okay, it's completely fine that your paper is under review. Probably by December you've not received any results of whether your paper is being published or rejected. That's completely normal. You can still add the paper preparation. You can still talk about your paper in your statement of purpose. Again, I'm repeating, it still has to be backed by a letter of recommendation. Your professor has to make it credible. Okay, so these are some of the scientific machine learning projects that we have worked on with different students, and these are the plans that I just told you about. These are some of the testimonials that our students have given us, and they're extremely happy with the way this boot camp turned out to be. Okay, so a lot of papers ended up getting accepted in top-notch conferences, ML conferences in the world, very prestigious conferences, and these people have also got Julia Hub certification with them. Okay, and then we will help you with confidently transitioning to machine learning from any field. We will help you to implement domain specific real life hands-on projects. That is very, very important. You will also learn how to convert ML projects to research publications, and then you will be able to add all of this in your resume. Okay, this is just a glimpse of I just wanted to let you know how life at MIT looks. It's a very culturally diverse, rich experience, and these are photos of Dr. Sridath at MIT. Right, so at the end of this webinar, I just want to let you know that we also have started with counseling services on how you can transform your career with AI and ML guidance. Okay, so basically people who are stuck with a lot of probably students also, and then working professionals also who want to transition to the field of artificial intelligence or machine learning, but there's a lot of noise there in the industry and there is no proper path. Okay, so what we are doing is we are doing counseling for our students, and we are basically giving them the career roadmap guidance, documents on how they can in process by process transition to the field of machine learning, and then how you can optimize your portfolio. Okay, so a clear cut guide based on your profile will be provided to you, and you will also be given a list of jobs that are available currently in the market in the field of artificial intelligence and machine learning. That is also included in this consultation service. I will also give you a list of open jobs that are available considering your domain, your resume, and your work experience. So this will be completely customized for each and every one of you. And we have something coming up at the end, at the end. So what we are going to do is, first of all, we are going to share the link of this website on the chat, and then after that, you can either you can look at whatever consultation services you are interested in, and you can join the wait list. Okay, so we want to see the student and working professional responses, and then at the end we'll be coming up with something very exciting. But then be rest assured that you will also hear about a lot of open job opportunities, and how you can actually upgrade your profile and apply to those jobs, open jobs. So that is, I think, something that nobody else is doing, and I definitely encourage all of you to join the waitlist. If you're not sure which waitlist you should join, there is a waitlist at the end that you can join. It's completely free to join the waitlist, so you can go ahead, enter all the details. There's a Google form that you will find at the end. You'll have to fill that particular form, and then you'll have to submit. That's completely free, and if mention as many details as possible, and that will help us a lot. Okay, so that's the end of my time. I think we have about 5 minutes remaining. I just want to tell you that if you are interested in the scientific machine learning bootcamp or the generative AI industry professional bootcamp, or anything about the consultation or the counseling services, drop an email to us at hello@flyvidesh.com. Mention your LinkedIn profile with us so that we are clear, and write to us with any doubts or anything you need to be clarified. Just don't mention one liners, that doesn't help us. So we'll be able to help you. Also, at the end of this, I'll be also sharing a link where you can book a consultation call with me to get your profile evaluated. And so there are a bunch of services available. I'll put the link in the description of the YouTube recording also. But then till then, you can keep writing to us at hello@flyvidesh.com. We have our co-founder with us, Dr. Rajat, and I think, Dr. Rajat, there are 5 minutes remaining if you would like to take a few questions.
Yeah.
I'm stopping my screen share.
Yeah, thank you, Radhika, for the excellent webinar. So I would just summarize the main learnings in the last 5 minutes. So mainly the categories of students or people who have attended the webinar can be, firstly, if you are a complete beginner in AI/ML, you have absolutely no clue about the field, then what we would recommend is start with our YouTube channel. It is really an excellent resource for people to understand about basics of AI/ML. There is a playlist called ML Teach by Doing, which is highly recommended. And then slowly you can move on to build neural network from scratch, and then build LLM from scratch, followed by reasoning LLM from scratch. So this is a pathway for people who are very, very new to the field of AI/ML. Then for people who have done some basic level of AI/ML and they're looking to transition in their jobs, for them, the researcher bootcamps are perfect. So we have two ways in which you can work with us to write research papers. The first is the SciML Bootcamp for people who want to mix the domain knowledge with AI/ML, and the second is Generative AI Researcher Bootcamp. This is uh, this is ideal for people who don't want to deep dive into any core domain, but they want to work in an interesting research problem related to generative AI and large language models. Again, there are no prerequisites for both of these boot camps, because the initial part of the boot camps, it basically covers the theoretical content which is needed for what comes later. And then the final category of people are those who would like to, let's say, directly hear from the teachers or tutors. And for these students, we will be starting our live courses starting from next month. So basically, there are three pathways for AI/ML, depending on whether you are complete beginner, if you have some basic idea and you are trying to get into research, and then finally for people who want to learn from a live interaction from a mentor or an instructor. And then finally, as Radhika mentioned, we have started counseling sessions for students. And this is because we started getting a lot of requests for some specific profile. And then people used to ask us, can you review this? Give us some consultation. So because we were getting a lot of emails, we used to ignore such emails, because the first priority was always for people who wanted a long-term mentorship or wanted to do research with us. So these consultations used to get ignored. So for that, we have started a separate channel for consultation. And if you have any specific personal queries which you would like to answer, then we have shared a link on the chat. You can join the waitlist and you will get preference for the consultation services. Okay, now let me take one or two questions from the chat. Let's see. Yeah, there is a question from someone who has a degree in financial services operations from South Africa, and they want to transition to okay, is it possible to be admitted to MIT? So it depends on a lot of factors, really. If you want to transition to ML, your best bet is to build a very strong research profile, as Radhika mentioned in today's webinar. It can offset a bad GPA, and it can offset if you do not have prior experience in that domain. So I would really advise you to focus on your research profile, because that would really increase your chances. Getting to MIT, a lot of things have to come in place. Along with your research profile, you need to have really strong documents, SOP, LOR, resume, etc. So, but yeah, but the baseline you can improve by uh, doing good research. And if the deadline for applications is December, if you are planning for fall of 26, then you have around 4 to 5 months remaining to plan your research properly. So you can focus on that as well. Uh, okay, I think it's 8 already. I would like to wish all of you all the best for your transition to machine learning. For everyone, it's a different journey. So don't try to compare with someone else and try to follow. Just stick true to your plan and make sure whatever you're reading, you're understanding concepts to the very depth. Don't do a very surface level reading of different concepts. Okay, okay, everyone. And thanks again, Radhika, for the webinar. All the
Thank
best.
thank you so
Bye.
much. All the best, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay.